Every second, millions of people around the world hit play on Netflix, and the video just starts. No spinning wheel, no loading bar, no waiting. How does that actually work? The answer involves a global infrastructure of servers, decades of video engineering, and a set of clever protocols all running invisibly in the background. Let us break it down step by step. When you press play on Netflix, your device does not download one giant video file. A single episode of a high-definition TV show might be 5 or 6 gigabytes. Sending that all at once before you could watch anything would be impossibly slow. Instead, Netflix slices every video into thousands of tiny chunks, each one just 2 to 10 seconds of footage. Your device downloads these chunks one at a time, always staying a few steps ahead of what you are currently watching. That gap between what has been downloaded and what you are watching is called the buffer. The buffer is your protection against the internet being unreliable. If your connection hiccups for a moment, playback keeps going because the buffer already has several seconds preloaded. Your video never pauses because the buffer absorbs the gap. This is why your stream can survive a brief moment of network congestion without you ever noticing. But chunking and buffering alone are not enough. Netflix has to solve a much harder problem. Your internet connection is not a fixed speed. It changes constantly. It fluctuates second to second based on how many people are on your network, how far you are from your router, what your ISP is doing, and a dozen other factors. A video that looks crisp and beautiful on a fast connection would stall completely on a slow one. Unless the video system can adapt, the solution is called Adaptive Bitrate Streaming, and it is one of the most important technologies in all of modern video delivery. Before any show or film is made available on Netflix, it is encoded not once, but many times, at many different quality levels. A single episode might have 8, 10, or even 12 different versions. Ultra HD at 50 megabits per second. Full HD at 50 megabits per second. Standard definition at just a few megabits, and many steps in between. Each of those versions is also sliced into the same small chunks. Now here is where it gets clever. Your Netflix app constantly monitors your download speed in real time. If your connection is fast and stable, your app requests the highest quality chunk available for the next segment. If your connection slows down, maybe someone on your Wi-Fi starts a large download, or you walk to the edge of your home network, your app automatically switches to requesting a lower quality chunk for the next segment. You might notice a brief softening of the picture, but the video never stops. Quality flexes so that playback never has to. The switching happens seamlessly, chunk by chunk, throughout your entire viewing session. At any given moment, your app is making a decision. What is the best quality level I can reliably download for the next segment, given the speed I am seeing right now? It is a continuous feedback loop running in the background the entire time you watch. This is the heart of how Netflix works. Thousands of intelligent quality decisions per minute, each one keeping your stream alive and as sharp as your connection allows. Now, we need to talk about where the video chunks actually come from, because this is where Netflix has invested billions of dollars in infrastructure. Netflix does not serve video from one central server farm. If they did, every stream would have to travel thousands of kilometers over the open internet through countless routers and cables before reaching your screen. That would introduce enormous latency and instability. Instead, Netflix built one of the largest content delivery networks in the world called Open Connect, a content delivery network, or CDN. It is a system of servers distributed geographically around the world, each one storing copies of popular content. When you request a video, the CDN routes your request to the nearest server rather than a central origin. The closer the server, the faster and more reliable the delivery. Netflix's Open Connect takes this idea further than almost any other company. Instead of renting space on a third-party CDN, Netflix built their own hardware, custom servers called Open Connect appliances, and they physically place them inside internet service provider networks around the world. Your ISP almost certainly has an Open Connect appliance sitting in their own data center right now, loaded with the most popular Netflix content. This means that when you hit play on a trending show, the video chunks are not traveling from some distant Netflix headquarters. They are being delivered from a server that is geographically and network topologically just milliseconds away from your home. That proximity is the reason your stream starts in under a second. That proximity is the reason your stream stays stable. Less popular content that is not locally cached gets pulled from regional Netflix servers, but the principle is always the same. Get the content as close to the viewer as possible. There is another layer to how your stream begins, and it happens before the first frame ever plays. When you press play, your Netflix app sends a request to Netflix's Playback API. The server receives that request and immediately checks several things: your account tier and what quality levels you are entitled to, the device you are using and its capabilities, your geographic location and which OpenConnect servers are nearby, and a quick estimate of your current connection speed. Based on all of this, the server sends back something called a manifest. The manifest is a structured file, a kind of master index. that tells your app the exact URL of every chunk at every quality level for the entire video. It maps out the complete structure of the content before a single frame plays. Your app reads the manifest, selects a starting quality level based on your estimated connection speed, and immediately begins fetching the first few chunks. By the time the video appears to start playing, your device has already buffered several seconds of footage ahead. The stream feels instant because a meaningful amount of work was completed before you even noticed playback had begun. Netflix also puts a great deal of engineering into the video encoding itself. They use a technology called per-title encoding, where each piece of content is individually analyzed and encoded at the bitrate settings that are optimal for that specific content. A slow, visually calm drama does not need as high a bitrate as a fast-paced action film full of motion and detail. By tailoring the encoding to the content, Netflix can deliver equivalent visual quality at lower file sizes, which means less data to transfer and better performance on slower connections. They have also invested heavily in next-generation video codecs. Moving from the older H.265, 4 standard to newer formats like H.265, 5 and AV1 allows Netflix to deliver the same visual quality at roughly half the data. AV1 in particular is now used widely across the Netflix catalog, and it is a major reason why Netflix streams can look so good even on limited connections. Now let us talk about security, because all of this content needs to be protected. Every video chunk that Netflix sends to your device is encrypted using a system called Digital Rights Management, or DRM. DRM ensures that even if someone intercepted a chunk of video data in transit, they could not play it. The data is locked, and only authorized devices with a valid license key can decrypt and display it. When your app receives the manifest and begins playback, it also contacts a separate license server. That server verifies your account, verifies your device, and issues a decryption key. Your app uses that key in real time to decrypt each chunk as it arrives and plays. This all happens invisibly and nearly instantaneously. Content protection is running in the background every single time you press play. Netflix supports several DRM systems depending on the device. Widvine on Android and Chrome FairPlay on Apple devices and PlayReady on Windows. Each one is different in implementation, but the principle is the same. The content is never available in an unprotected form outside of the secure playback pipeline. Let us now zoom out and trace the entire journey from the moment you press play to the moment the first frame appears on your screen. You press play. Your app sends a playback request to the Netflix API. Netflix checks your account, your device, your location, and your connection. It returns a manifest listing all chunks and quality levels. Your app contacts a license server and receives a decryption key. Your app identifies the nearest OpenConnect appliance. It begins fetching the first chunks at an appropriate quality level. Those chunks arrive, are decrypted, decoded, and rendered to your screen. The buffer fills a few seconds ahead. Playback begins. And from that moment on, your app continuously monitors your connection speed, adjusts the quality level chunk by chunk, and keeps the buffer healthy, all without interrupting your viewing. The reason Netflix almost never buffers is not magic. It is the result of adaptive streaming algorithms, a global network of servers embedded inside ISPs, per-title video encoding, next-generation codecs, intelligent prefetching, and a feedback loop that never stops running. Every time you sit down to watch something on Netflix, all of this happens in the background, silently, in fractions of a second, thousands of times per hour. That is how Netflix streams without buffering. Thanks for watching.